Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Educational Data Mining Virtual Conference 2020. Next. This is also a virtual welcome to Ifran and to El Akhawain University. We're very happy to be part of the conference, but we're also quite sad that you couldn't be here. We thought that we would start out by trying to put you virtually in the physical context. Next. So some of you might be asking yourselves, why this particular logo, this lion with a hat? Well, the lion is actually a representation of the stone lion in the center of town, Ifran town. And it was sculpted in 1930 by a French art instructor who was teaching in a high school in Rabat, the capital of Morocco. This happened under the French protectorate, which lasted until 1956, the year in which Morocco gained its independence from the French. It also symbolizes the Barbary lion, which is now extinct in the wild, but used to be prevalent in this region. You can still find some exemplars in zoos around the world, and possibly also in the King's grounds here in Morocco. For those of you who are sports fans, the lion also symbolizes the Moroccan national soccer team, the Atlas Lions, or Lion de l'Atlas. Next. Now, the fez. The fez has two meanings. It is a hat. It is also the city of Fez, which is located nearby, about an hour away from Ifran. Next. The city of Fez is today the largest, well, the second largest city in Morocco. It has a new part and an old part, actually a couple old parts. And the old parts are still pretty much in their medieval state. In 1981, it was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We're talking about a medieval city of about 500,000 people and an amazing place to visit. It is the biggest marketplace you can imagine. It's famous for its tanneries, woodwork, metalwork, ceramics, and all sort of artisan work. I have visited many of the large marketplaces in the Middle East, and I can tell you that Fez goes way beyond them all. For us, one thing that's particularly interesting is that it also hosts the University of Al-Qarawiyyin, which is the oldest continually operating university in the world. The mosque was founded by a woman named Fatima al-Fihri in 859, not 1859, 859, so more than 1,000 years ago, with an associated school, the madrasa, which is the Arabic word for school. This madrasa subsequently became one of the leading spiritual and educational centers of the historic Muslim world. And the complex as a whole became a university, a state university in 1963, and still remains an important institution of learning today, particularly devoted to Muslim Islamic matters. Next, please. Now for the hat. The red fez hat is also called tarbouch. Its name refers to Fez, the capital of Morocco until 1927, when it switched to Rabat. And it actually refers to the Fez because the dye that was used to dye the hat crimson was extracted from crimson berries in this region. The Fez is not a very common hat in Morocco, though you do see it somewhere. And it owes its popularity to the Ottoman era. So it actually became more common in South Asia, which was more closely linked to the Ottoman Empire. In Morocco, it remains as a national symbol. And if you look on the web, you can actually see that the king and his cabinet occasionally wear it on some formal occasions. And other times they wear other Moroccan formal garb. Next, please. Last but not least, I wanted to give you an idea of what you miss by not being here. So maybe we can be here again in a couple of years, or you can come and visit. We have a beautiful cedar forest. It's one of the few left in the world, surrounded by the very particular Atlas oak forest. Atlas oaks are clumps of trees that form into umbrella complexes and are really very, very beautiful. You also miss the Barbary monkeys, which are still quite frequent around here, and they're rather friendly, a little bit aggressive sometimes. There are cases of students of tourists having had their cell phones stolen by the monkeys, for example, if they don't. And food, of course, is something they're always after. Talking about food, you can see at the top an example of the Moroccan couscous. This is a traditional couscous with 7 vegetables. And at the bottom, a tagine, which is cooked in the oven in traditional clay pottery. In between, you can see some very nice locally produced wine. It's actually about half an hour away from Ifran, and I've been and visited the winery and enjoyed both the food and the wine there. And some pretty decent, if not exceptional, beer called Casablanca that's produced in Casablanca. It's also not the only one. On the right top, you can see a snapshot of the central complex of our beautiful campus with the sloping red roofs. They're sloping because we get snow in the winter and sometimes quite a bit of it. And on the bottom left corner, something that you're probably not sad that you missed because it's an estimate of the temperatures in the coming days, and they're pretty high. With that said, I give the floor to my colleague, Cristobal Romero, to introduce more technical details of the content of the conference to you. Enjoy.
Thanks, Violeta. Hello, everybody from Cordoba at almost 40 degrees now. I remember the day, March 21, when we decided to move EDM conference from traditional in-person conference in Morocco to our online full virtual conference. This was a really difficult decision, but we had to do it in order to not to lose completely the conference this year. Firstly, we modified our official EDM conference web page in order to notice and adapt to the new situation. Next, we have to cancel all local resources, local chairs, and we started to think about what online software we can use it. We buy WebEx conference software for providing us both a web and a mobile app to do a virtual conference. We buy a Zoom business plan to do on live streaming video conference. And we also create the EDM channel in YouTube for enable pre-recorded video presentation. Finally, we create a Twitter account and a specific hashtag for notifying in social network. Next. It has been a really hard work to prepare a full virtual conference that was the most similar to a traditional face-to-face conference. I want to thank to all conference organizing committee, especially Anna and Jacob. They have worked a lot for making it possible. Violeta and I have tried to facilitate them all the resources that they needed to do it with success. But also, I want to thank to other chairs, workshop, tutorial, industry, doctoral, journal, poster demo, publication proceeding, sponsorship, publicity, social media, and finally, to our web chair, Paul Salvador Inventado. Next. We also want to thank to our only one sponsor, ACT Next, with a silver sponsorship. In fact, Michael Judson is the person who represents ACT Next in the conference, together with Alina von Debier, who is one of our 3 keynote. We want to thank to Ken Kittinger, President, and Mingu Feng, Secretary, and the World EDM Society Board for providing us the support we need to start this winter conference. We want to thank to all the authors who submitted paper to the conference and workshop, to all the reviewers with forming our program committee, and to all session chairs. Finally, a special thank to our technical support assistant, Jose Maria Moyano, who is our last recruit for his really good work in preparing and managing the virtual conference. Next. This year, the number of attendants has increased 100 from last year. This is a new record. From around 250 last year to more than 350 this year. It is true that we have reduced the price of all types of registration due to virtual conference reduction expense in coffee break, lunches, dinner, gala dinner, but we think that this this first virtual EDM conference has been a great reception. About the specific numbers, more than a half of the registration are normal attendance, and the other are presenters, of course, mainly in the main conference and less in workshop. Finally, the novelty of this year is that workshops are free included in the conference, and only workshop presenters have to pay registration. Next, I give the floor to the program chair, Jacob Whitehill.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jake Whitehill. I'm one of the two program co-chairs this year, together with Anna Rafferty. And we want to talk about the conference program and how the paper review process happened. So there were a total of 7 tracks to which papers could be submitted: workshop and tutorials, full, short, poster and demo, industry, Journal of Educational Data Mining, JEDM, and doctoral consortium. And the review and decision processes for these tracks were handled by the associated track chairs, whereby Anna and I handled the full and short tracks. In total, there were papers submitted from authors from 35 different countries shown on this map. So I thought it was interesting to kind of present the histogram, or a part of it, of the topics as described by the authors themselves. And so the most popular topic, and these are not mutually exclusive, by the way, was log files and transaction logs. The application setting to which EDM was applied this year spans pre-kindergarten, K through 12, and as well as MOOCs. And there also is a large variety, of course, of different machine learning techniques that were applied. And this information also is available in larger form in the EDM proceedings. Great. So the review process for the full and short papers. So first of all, Anna and I thought it would be important for authors and also maybe useful for future generations of the conference to have this be made transparent. And so a comprehensive description of how the process worked is available in the online proceedings. Continuing on last year's policy of being double-blind, we also made this year's paper submissions double-blind. This year we also created reviewing guidelines, both for the program committee and senior program committee members, and made these online early in the process in an effort to decrease the variance in quality of reviews. With only a few exceptions, every paper received 3 reviews from 2 PC members and 1 senior PC member. There was discussion facilitated by the senior PC member in case of significant disagreement among reviewers. And a final recommendation to the program co-chairs was written for each paper by the paper's assigned senior PC member. We want to thank all the PC members, senior PC members, and also emergency reviewers, particularly this year due to the difficulty of reviewing during the COVID crisis. The final decisions were made by the program co-chairs. Our own inspection of the papers focused on boundary cases, and you can read in the proceedings how exactly we decided which papers were boundary cases. And once again, all of the procedures are described for transparency in the EDM 2020 proceedings. Here are a few statistics. You can read them yourself mostly, but just a small summary. So there were 162 total full and short paper submissions, of which 37.6% were accepted as either full or short. And the second and third bullets break down the acceptance rates a bit more specifically. This information also is available in the EDM proceedings. Next. We have 4 wonderful papers that have been nominated for Best Paper Award, as well as 2 papers that have been nominated for Best Student Paper Award. And these nominations were based on the average review scores during the review process. And the final outcome of this decision will, as to who wins the awards, will be available on Monday from 4 to 5:20 p.m. Morocco time. We also have the Test of Time Award, which will have a great presentation jointly by Ryan Baker and Kalina Yassef on the state of educational data mining in 2009 and today, then, now, and forward. Oh, and the word authors was a typo on my part. And with that, I'll hand it over to my colleague, Anna Rafferty.
Great. Thanks, Jake. I'm Anna Rafferty, the other program co-chair. Jake's told you a little bit about our full and short paper tracks and the Test of Time Award, and I'll share a little bit about the other tracks and events at the conference. We are super excited about each of the tracks that we'll be featuring over the coming 3 days. We have 4 poster sessions featuring 38 posters. Those will take place on Sunday, kind of in the middle of the day. And for the posters, you'll be able to go to a different Zoom room for each poster, talk with the presenter, as well as view the poster PDFs at any time through Whova. The doctoral consortium actually began last night. I heard it was a good session, and it will continue with another session on Monday. A total of 19 students had their work featured in the doctoral consortium, and in addition to allowing the students an opportunity to present their work, it also gives them an opportunity to get feedback about their work, about the next steps, and to be paired with a mentor for more one-on-one guidance. Finally, we have an industry track, and while work from industry is welcomed in all tracks of the conference, and you'll see it featured in all tracks, we also have a special track that features work that focuses on innovative uses of EDM in settings where the industry context is particularly important for that work. Later this afternoon, there will be 2 industry sessions featuring a total of 5 papers. Next. The 6th track is the JEDM track, or Journal of Educational Data Mining, which is the journal of the IEDMS Society. And EDM 2020 has continued to maintain a close relationship with JEDM, with authors being able to submit to the JEDM track of the journal, the EDM conference track of the journal, and then, if accepted in time, to present their work here at the EDM conference. And we'll have 2 such papers this year. Their presentations will be intermixed with the full paper presentations based on themes to kind of give cohesive sessions. Next. Our final track is the workshops and tutorials, and this actually happened yesterday. I just heard from one of the workshop co-chairs that there was great attendance with up to 70 people at a time in one of the sessions and at least 50 at the peak in each of the sessions. So that's really great to hear, and I hope that all of you had a wonderful time there. 2 of these workshops were particularly exciting to us due to their connections to the conference theme, so we wanted to highlight that. One of them were focused on causal inference, something of particular importance for considering how to identify actionable interventions, and one focused on fairness, accountability, and transparency in EDM, which is of course important for ensuring that EDM has equitable impacts and benefits a diverse community of learners. Next. In addition to these 7 tracks in the Test of Time Award, we're delighted to feature 3 keynote speakers, 1 on each day of the conference. Later this afternoon, Alina von Devier from ACT Next will be speaking about an AI-enabled ecosystem for learning and assessment. Then tomorrow, also in the afternoon, Kobe Gall from Ben-Gurion University of the Negev and University of Edinburgh will be talking about online collaborative student group learning. Finally, on Monday, a little bit earlier in the day, Abelardo Pardo from University of South Australia will be talking about contextualizing data mining within educational experiences. We're excited to see all 3 of these over these next coming days. Next.
This year, Anna and I had several dedicated meetings and conferred with the general chairs as well as the IEDMS board about what we could do as a modest but concrete step towards improving the diversity, equity, and inclusivity of EDM. We recognize that for some people here, this may be their first scientific conference. Conferences are an important part of scientific participation, but they also can be intimidating, particularly if you do not yet know many people. We also want to acknowledge that it can be particularly challenging for people from groups and places traditionally underrepresented in STEM. At EDM 2020, as well as future EDM conferences, we want everyone to respect and to welcome new members into our community, both to promote greater diversity and social justice and to ensure a diversity of scientific ideas. Throughout the conference, including when you're networking and socializing, we thus urge you to be mindful of the language that you use and assumptions you bring about other people's perspectives, to make room for everyone's ideas within your conversations, and to acknowledge the potential of everyone here to make valuable intellectual contributions.
To make the inclusive values of the EDM conference clear, we've established a code of conduct, which you can view in its entirety on the EDM 2020 website. It states that everyone has a right to participate in the EDM conference free from harassment and intimidation and in an environment that recognizes the inherent worth of all people. If you see something discriminatory or harassing, please say something, and please contact me and Jake. We hope that harassment and discrimination don't happen, but we're prepared to address these issues if they do arise. We're also excited to announce an interactive panel on diversity, equity, and inclusivity that will take place tomorrow at 6 p.m. Morocco time. We'll have 3 speakers, Nia Dowell, Tiffany Barnes, and Violetta Cavalli Sforza, with different professional experiences in these areas. IDMS President Ken Kadinger will be moderating the panel. After the panel, there will be an optional group discussion for everyone who's interested. If you wanted to participate in that, please make sure to respond to the Google form that was sent out earlier. If you lost that link, feel free to contact me or Jake. Next. Regardless of how many EDMs you've been to, we know that this is your first virtual EDM, and as you know, it's ours too. So we've been thinking carefully about how to mix pre-recorded and live interactions in order to share scientific ideas and build community. The keynotes and panel will be live events, while the paper sessions will feature pre-recorded videos with live question and answer in order to minimize the impact of technical issues. For these sessions, we ask that you mute your microphone while the presentation is happening, something you all did even without being asked here. Thank you. And for questions, please wait until the end of each talk. Then you can type your question in the chat or type just that you'd like to ask a question, and the session chair will moderate, reading questions from the chat or calling on people to speak their questions. We recognize that all events are not compatible with every time zone, including this one. And if there's something you want to ask but you can't be there at the right time, you can ask questions asynchronously using Whova. There's a question and answer forum for every paper and session that you can access via the agenda. For poster sessions, as I mentioned earlier, you'll go into a separate Zoom call for every poster. And again, there is the opportunity to ask questions asynchronously as well. Next. We know that many of us find networking and connecting with others to be one of the most useful parts of the conference, sparking shared ideas and new directions. During breaks, we'll have a Zoom room open to facilitate chatting. If you go to that room, we'll place you in a breakout room with a random group of other attendees, just as you might walk up to some interesting looking people during a real coughing break. Please make sure to welcome newcomers if you're already chatting and someone new arrives. Of course, if you're hoping to connect with specific people or to connect with others around a specific topic, there are ways to do that too. We encourage you to use Whova to coordinate. There's a messages section in Whova that will let you message one or more specific people, kind of like a typical texting app, and a community section where you can post to all attendees. So you might post around that you want to talk about a topic. There's been a great discussion around NLP that I've seen going on so far. And besides written communications, you're welcome to post a video link and time to meet for folks to connect on a particular theme. On the conference webpage, we have additional tips and information. You can take a look at the page on navigating EDM 2020 for all sort of the ins and outs of this virtual interaction. Next. Here's sort of an overview of the overall schedule. And as you can see, we'll have our first paper session right after this. Each day, we have 2 different blocks of activities with an hour break in between. Our goal was to make sure that all events were at good times in Morocco, reminding us about how one day we hope to travel there to see all of the things that Violetta mentioned at the beginning of this session, but also to have a range of times so that most people would have some times that were good for their time zone. Please don't hesitate to contact us on Whova if you have any questions or concerns. As Cristobal mentioned at the beginning, Jose, our technical support person, has been absolutely wonderful, and he's been doing a great job answering questions in the community section of Whova. Next. So thank you so much for your attention. We are just delighted to be here with you at the EDM conference, and we're looking forward to having a great conference with you. Thanks.